review number 6 was rational expressions. Review number 7 is rational equations. So we will be seeing equal signs on these problems. What we want to do is we want to find the least common denominator and basically wipe out all the fractions. Before you can do that, you need to factor first. Looking at example 1, I factored the denominator. It was a difference of 2 squares. Now I have to figure out what the LCD is, or the least common denominator. To do that, you want all these denominators to cancel. So y minus 2, you're going to need to write it down. Y plus 2, write it down. And then I factored this as y plus 2, y minus 2, but I already have those, so I don't need to write them down again. So my LCD is y subtract 2 times y plus 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply the whole equation by y subtract 2 and y plus 2. This means that every single part of the equation gets multiplied by this. Now before you multiply it, you actually cancel. So the y minus 2 and the y minus 2 are going to cancel, leaving me with 1 times y plus 2, which is y plus 2. So the fraction here canceled. The y plus 2 is going to cancel with this y plus 2 because we're doing the same thing again, multiplying this fraction by the same thing. So the y plus 2 cancels with the y plus 2, leaving me 1 times y minus 2. So that's going to be plus y minus 2 equals. Now on the last one, the y plus 2 cancels with the y plus 2, and the y minus 2 cancels with the y minus 2, leaving me just the 4. So equals, and then 4. From there, we're just going to solve the equation. So you have 1y plus 1y is 2y, and that's going to equal 4. As you see, the plus 2 and the minus 2 cancel each other out. All right, so divide by 2, and we get y equals 2. Now you always have to check your solution and make sure that the denominators do not go to 0. So you can see when I plugged into the original for y, I get 2 minus 2, which is 0. And then 2 plus 2 is 4, that one's good. And then 2 squared, because this is y squared minus 4, so in place of y I put a 2, and that also gives me 0. Because of that, I get no solution. Example number 2 is a proportion. We have one fraction equals another fraction. So the easiest way to solve example number 2 is simply to cross multiply. When I cross multiply, I get 2x times 3x plus 8 equals 3 times 5x plus 4. Make sure that you distribute through to both numbers. 2 times 3 is 6, x times x is x squared, plus 16x is equal to distribute 15x plus 12. Because this is quadratic, I'm going to set the whole thing equal to 0. I'm going to go ahead and practice the AC method with you again. A is 6 and C is negative 12. So you multiply A times C and you get negative 72. The middle number is a 1 in front of that x. The two numbers to multiply to get negative 72 is 9 times 8. And we want the 1 to be positive, so the 8 will be negative. So again, the AC method is you have 6x times 6x, and you use whatever A is, and then you've got a plus 9 and a subtract 8. And the only reason why this is possible is because what I'm really doing is factoring out a 1/6. So from there, I'm going to take the 1/6 and multiply it through, which is the same thing as dividing by, this one I can divide everything by 3, and this one I can divide everything by 2. So you always want to reduce these out what you're really doing is multiplying through by the 1/6. Okay, 3 goes into 6 twice, so that's 2x plus 3. And 2 goes into 6 3 times, which is 3x, subtract 4. You always want to do a quick double check. 2x times 3x is 6x squared, good. Negative 8x plus 9x is 1x, and 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Check. All right, so you put each of those equal to 0 and you solve. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2x plus 3 equals 0, and 3x subtract 4 equals 0. You subtract 3 here, and then you'll divide by 2. That's going to give me x equals negative 3 halves. I kind of ran out of room here, so I'll just write the solution. X equals, add the 4, divide by 3. So your two answers are negative 3 halves and 4/3. And I believe if you substitute those into the original, I don't think that's going to cause a 0 for either fraction, so they both check. Example 3, you can see I started by factoring. If you've forgotten how to factor when a is 1, it's basically the same way. So a is 1, 1 times 10 is 10, and negative 7 is in the middle. You're going to multiply to get the 10 and add to get the negative 7, which is negative 5 times negative 2. However, now you're done, so x minus 5, x minus 2, and it's all factored. So looking at the LCD, when we want to find the LCD, we're going to look at the first denominator, and we're going to write both of those down. So I have an x minus 5 and an x minus 2. Now because this x minus 5 I already have, I don't need to write it down again. And if you want, you can put a 1 below that too. We start this problem by factoring the denominator into x minus 5, x minus 2. After we do that, then we're able to find the LCD. The LCD is you have the x minus 5, write it down, then you have the x minus 2, write it down, and then you have another x minus 5, which you already have, so you don't need to write that one down. You're going to take the LCD and multiply it to the entire equation. Now when looking at the first fraction, the x minus 5 and x minus 2 are going to cancel with both of those, leaving me just 3. The 1 isn't going to cancel with anything, and so you have a 2 up here times x minus 5, x minus 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and write it as x squared subtract 7x plus 10 multiplied together equals, and then you're going to see that the x minus 5 cancels with this x minus 5, but you still have an x minus 2 times that. So can we just go ahead and let's FOIL that? So x times x is x squared. Negative 4x and negative 2x is negative 6x. And then last times last is plus 8. So now we want to simplify. So we have 3 plus 2x squared subtract 14x plus 20 equals x squared subtract 6x plus 8. So we're going to try to combine like terms. So you have 2x squared subtract 14x and plus 23. And let's go ahead and put subtract 8 to this. So we'll subtract 8 on both sides. And that equals x squared subtract 6x. And we also want to subtract the x squared and add the 6x. Because it's quadratic, you always want to set the whole thing equal to 0. 2x squared subtract 1x squared is x squared. 14 subtract 6 is going to be 8. So subtract 8x plus, and then 23 subtract 8 is 15, which equals 0. We're going to factor this. And again, the nice thing about this, you guys, is we started with all these fractions, And from the beginning, by multiplying by the LCD, we get rid of every single fraction. So now I have x times x is x squared, and 5 times 3 is 15. Again, I am multiplying to get the last number, 15, and I'm adding to get, because 1 times 15 is 15, and I'm adding to get negative 8. So my two numbers are 5 and 3. And I need them both negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive 15, and a negative plus a negative is a negative 8. So this gives me both of these minuses, which equals 0. Now this is the zero product property, where you put each of those equal to 0. I'm going to have to erase that, so I have some room. So you take x, subtract 5, and you put it equal to 0. And then you take x, subtract 3, and you put it equal to 0. So you're going to get a positive 5 and a positive 3. The next thing you need to do is check to make sure that this doesn't make the denominator go to 0. Well, 5 minus 5 is 0. So that one is bad. It's called extraneous. The x equals 3 is going to work just fine. So my solution to this problem is x equals 3. So looking at the U-try problem, again, you're always going to start by factoring the denominators. So this is x times x is x squared. You need to multiply to get negative 6, but add to get a positive 1 that's in front of the x. So you're looking at 3 and 2, and the 2 is negative. So x plus 3 and x subtract 2. All right, so from there, the LCD, you have an x minus 2, you write it down. You have an x plus 3, you write it down, because you want those to cancel. Now these are identical, so you don't have to write it down. So we're going to multiply this whole equation by the LCD. Make sure you take this and multiply it by every single fraction. So doing that, you always want all of the denominators to cancel out. So the x minus 2 is going to cancel with this x minus 2, and then write out what you have left. I have an x times an x plus 3. The x plus 3 is going to cancel with this x plus 3. Write what you have left. You have a 3 left times the x minus 2 equals, and then I really love this one, cancel, cancel. They both cancel, leaving me left with just a 4, which is great. So that equals 4. So now what you're going to do is distribute, giving you x squared plus 3x plus 3x subtract 6 equals 4. Distribute, distribute. All right, combine like terms. X squared plus 6x subtract the 4 over. And last week you worked on that practice assignment where things did not factor. I don't believe this will factor. I can't think of anything to multiply to get negative 10 and add to get 6. It's just not going to happen. So therefore, you've got to use the quadratic formula. Yay! So A is 1, and B is 6, and C is negative 10. So now my daughter is cranking her music, so I will try to hurry and finish. I could sing this to you. X equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So simplify. Careful with your signs. A negative times a negative is a positive. 40 plus 36 is 76. Don't forget to simplify this square root. 76 is 4 times 19, and the square root of 4 is 2. So this is 2 root 19 over 2. And then, I don't know if you learned this in your other class, but you can draw yourself a triangle. And then if you can reduce all 3 corners of the triangle, then you can reduce this. If not, you're done. Well, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into -6, -3 times. Therefore, final answer on this problem is -3 plus or minus the square root of 19. You would need to make sure that that does not make your denominators go to 0. I don't think it does, so there's your answer, and you are done. Just make sure you answer the reflection question and have a great day.